What's going on, y'all? Riley here from Mad Vapes of Easily, coming at you another video today, talking about a new product we're carrying in the shop now. It's called the Fireluke Mesh Pro tank. This is it right here. Pretty cool looking tank. I like the way it looks a lot. We carry a black one as well, so we've got this rainbow, we've got a black. But this is the second version of the mesh tank, which is one of the more popular tanks right now. They use the mesh coils, which is the craze. Gives you a little bit better flavor. Cloud off that tank in particular, the mesh, not perfect. Doesn't get off a huge amount of cloud for what it is, but they have fixed it with this tank. This tank's really awesome. It kind of gives you the best of both worlds when it comes to the flavor and the cloud. I would still say it's more of a flavor chaser coil or flavor chaser tank than a cloud chaser tank. Whereas like maybe the TFE12 is more about the cloud. This one would be more about the flavor. This is one of my favorite tanks right now for a couple reasons. Number one is they've done a different thing. I've never seen anybody else do this. So correct me if I'm wrong. There might be another company out there that I've seen that have done it, but none that I know of. But the coil that comes in this is actually known as the double mesh coil. It's a 0.2 ohms, good from 60 to 90 watts. But as the name suggests, there's actually two coils in here, two mesh coils. If you can look down in there, you can see that's them. Another thing is, the mesh in here is more spread apart. If you can see that, I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the mesh inside the coil is a little bit more spread apart than it usually is. At least to my eye, it looks that way. Whereas regular mesh coils are usually more of like a screen door type of mesh, is what I'd say. The spacing in the mesh is about like that. Where I say this one looks more like a chain link fence kind of pattern. They've got a little bit more spaces in them. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but that's just my humble opinion, what it looks like to me. Another cool thing that you can, I'll take the tank off and show you. Hopefully. If you can tell that cotton doesn't actually go up all the way on every other one. Now the reason for that, I'm going to guess, is it soaks in the bottom. It will wick in the bottom. Then it will also allow juice to get inside and wick the cotton that's actually around the mesh. So that will actually allow the coil to wick a little bit better, a little bit easier. Priming's not as difficult and probably doesn't take as long to get right. And hopefully that'll make the cotton last a little bit longer as well, not get too dry in any certain spot. So I actually like that. I think it will help. I think more people need to go towards that. I know a few years back, a lot of people started pricking their cotton with like a pin to make them absorb a little bit better, get a little bit more juice going through the coil. So maybe that the Fireluke or the Fireluke guys got wise to it, just said, you know what, we'll go ahead and make it a little bit easier to absorb for you guys, which I think is probably what they did. It looks pretty cool. I think it's going to work really well as well. Overall, I hadn't used this tank a ton. I've only hit it a few times, but the flavor on it's really good. Another thing I like about it is that they've done away with the screw-off top. They've now got the slide top. The slide top a little bit easier for me, especially if you got juicy hands, or maybe the person that tightened it down was the Hulk and just got it really too tight. That way you can just kind of press it open and it'll never get too locked in there. Other than that, like I said, it does come with an extra bubble glass. You are going to get the other coil that comes in this, which is a Kanthal single mesh coil. It's a 0.15. This one's a little bit lower on wattage, 40 to 70 watt. As you can look in there, it's a little bit smaller of a coil. This one doesn't have the little spaces cut out on it, probably because there's not as much cotton. It will wick easy anyway. So there's that. And that's really all there is in here. It's not a super complicated tank by any means, which most tanks aren't too complicated, but that's pretty much it. Specifications, it's a 6 mil. They also make a 5 mil and a 4 mil tank for it. There's 4 different coils. They have the Mesh Pro coil system, which is the single coil, the mesh, which is the second coil I showed you, the double mesh, which is the first coil that comes inside of it. Then they've also got a triple mesh coil, which doesn't come with this. That one's actually rated 80 to 110, so a little bit higher wattage on that than most mesh coils. And then they also make a SS316L coil, which is a single mesh as well. It's a 0.12, and it's rated from 400 to 550 Fahrenheit. If you guys deal with temperature control. Me personally don't mess with it too much, but a lot of people do like it. Like I said, it does have that single button design to push it over and get it good. It is a 25 millimeter tank around the bottom too, so it'll fit on just about any device. Yeah, so that seems like it's about it. If you guys have any comments about this, the Freemax Mesh Pro tank, you guys know the drill. Make sure you leave them in the comment section below. We do appreciate you watching the video. Hope to see you in the shop sometime.